drag racing fan, welcome to Between the Slicks here on Monday Morning Racer, a weekly talk show for drag racing, and we've got a representative of the American Drag Racing League on tonight, and we also have on the show a representative of NHRA Funny Car. Now, I do want to say, last week, it was my intention to go live somewhere from Indianapolis, whether it was in the Davis Motorsports Shop, at the track, whatever, though going live at the track has become a challenge in these Corona-19 days. But there were some issues that came up, and my originally planned show was not able to go on as intended, so took the time and just did not go live. Got it planned, got it set out to go live this week and get rolling once again. There's a lot of drag racing action this weekend, notably the PDRA is in Virginia. The Monday Morning Racer will be there, so definitely if you haven't liked, followed, and subscribed to the Monday Morning Racer on, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and anything else, you need to do so. Follow the Monday Morning Racer. I'll be there in Virginia for the PDRA. Let me get some sponsors in here, some partners. Strutmasters.com. They make all of this possible. Thank you, Chip Lofton. Thank you to Strutmasters.com. How can they help you? You got that air suspension failing for you on your expensive ride, and you don't want to pay top dollar to get the OEM parts back on there? Well, you've got a good alternative, a great alternative, actually the expert alternative in Strutmasters.com to give you a conversion kit to ride better with your ride and keep those wheels a-rolling. Also, by the way, Gearhead Coffee. Gearhead Coffee. I drink it myself. I personally enjoy mostly their Texas pecan variety. Their coffee is motorsports themed. It's good, stellar coffee. I enjoy it in the morning. And look, promo code MMR10, 10% off of Gearhead Coffee. Also, they're the official coffee of Texas Motorplex. Let's see here. Mike Ashley. What's up, Lee? You're doing an amazing job. Mike, look, thank you for watching. I appreciate the encouragement. And, man, your boy is doing a great job there in NHRA drag racing and repping my boy tonight with the team jersey on. Well, look, let's bring in a guest introduced to you tonight, Mel Roth. Mel Roth. Now, Mel, it's good to have you on. I had planned to have Kenny Nowling on, and that was announced, but as you said, Kenny was doing some business deals for the Adrl. Good that business is going good. So we've got El Presidente on tonight. Mel is the president of the American Drag Racing League. Mel, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, I'm stellar, man, stellar. Looking forward to chatting with you on the recent happenings for the American Drag Racing League, how things are going, and what is in store for the future. Folks, let me bring in the second guest now. So, Alex in NHRA Funny Car, Hot for Teacher Racing, Alex Milandinovich. Let's bring him into the stream. Alex, all the way there from California. How's it going? Well, in your case, this afternoon, for me, tonight.
We're doing great. Thanks for having me, and it's an honor to be on the show with the president of the American Drag Racing League. This is cool, man. This is dream come true.
Well, that's certainly a cool deal. It is good to have Mel on. I was able to have an interview with him at Dragpalooza there at the Texas Motorplex, and I really liked what the ADRL is doing. Obviously, I love NHRA drag racing, but this show, I intended it to be a show that encompasses all of drag racing. You know, hopefully, I hope to have in the future no prep guys on. I hope to have import guys on, nitro guys, alcohol guys, whoever. All the guys, and yes, the gals, from media to the actual race cars on and chatting concerning drag racing. So, tonight, you fans, look, feel free to drop a question for Mel, for Alex, and let's go ahead and begin right now. Mike Ashley is asking Mel to you. Mel, are we ever going to see nitro classes in the ADRL? Let's start there.
Well, is this the world famous Mike Ashley?
It is the Mike Ashley, yes.
Wow. Big fan, by the way. We actually do allow Nitro in our Pro Extreme class. Guys like Scott Palmer is going to run, selective races in his Studebaker Pro Mod on Nitro. So as for any other, like an actual all Nitro class, I mean, that's something for, the future, and we'll see what happens, as time goes on.
Definitely the ADRL with Pro Extreme, I find it so fascinating that it is open to just about everything. And I mean, I don't know if you wanted to bring a turbine Pro Mod, I guess you could run that. I don't know. I mean, it seems like anything goes as long as it meets the weight limit, except for nitrous. Nitrous cars have no weight limit. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Nitrous cars, no weight limit, no weight limit, and then anything else is 2450. So basically, you can have a turbos with nitrous. You can have a Pro Charger with nitrous. And you can do anything you want, but basically 2450 and a door car, and go from there.
Man, it's a stellar class. I was amazed when I saw it firsthand at Dragpalooza there at Texas Motorplex, and just thought, wow, this is a pretty cool deal. So I really like what the American Drag Racing League is doing. And speaking of drag racing, recently, 2 weekends ago, the ADRL was there at Worldwide Technologies Raceway. Mel, look, how did it go in general?
Oh, it was awesome. We had 27 Pro Extreme cars. Those of you guys follow Pro Extreme the last couple, like 5 years, you realize that's a lot of cars, a lot of good cars. We dealt with extreme heat, just like we did in Texas. But then we had to deal with 33% of capacity for fans. And ADRL is fan driven. We make our money off of parking. So therefore we, when we got restricted with fans, that's restricted in parking. So, but we did well. For Saturday, we had to close the gates for about 25 minutes to allow people to leave before we let new people in, so we abide by the guidelines. Because our whole deal is we want to race in the future. So taking a chance right now and trying to, fudge the numbers and all that, we're not going to do that. So we played by the rules. We had, an incredible amount of fans. You guys saw the pictures, but all socially distanced. And everybody at Worldwide Technology Raceway did a great job policing everything, make sure all the fans were safe, and all the drivers were safe, and we had an incredible race.
Man, I'm glad that it was incredible, as you just said. Yes, definitely promoters and sanctioning bodies have got to do some tiptoeing these days, because we want to stay racing, and it's just best to follow the rules, whether personally you don't like wearing a mask or whether you feel you ought to wear a mask. Look, let's go racing. Let us keep sponsors happy. Let's earn those points and continue to enjoy what we all enjoy. So Mike spoke up here once again. Mike Ashley says, if you do it, referring to Nitro, we will support it. ADRL is great. I was there when it started. Good luck. I'm done bothering you. Mike, you're not bothering us. You can keep chiming in. Thank you for watching, sir. So, yes, the ADRL moving forward. And, Mel, look, we're going to come back with you. We're going to bring in Alex, and I'm going to get to him the first question here to Alex tonight. So, we're going to bring in Alex Milandinovich here in just a moment. He drives an NHRA funny car. And before we do that, let me say one of my big supporters here, Sam, look, thank you. He says, hi, Lee. Glad to have you on the broadcast tonight. We've also got Mikey V watching. Todd Grant to build a turbine car, LOL. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see it in Pro Extreme, honestly. Just, we need to have everything. Turbine, centrifugal superchargers, all of it. I mean, nitro, benzene, whatever. Just bring it all in. Bring it all in to Pro Extreme. Definitely a great class. Well, let's talk to Mr. M. That's a lot easier saying that around. First of all, look, I want to talk drag racing with you, Alex, obviously, but I got to ask, Milandinovich, what's the ethnicity behind that? Is it Portuguese, French? I mean, some, isolated island we've never heard about.
It's actually, Milandinovich is actually Yugoslavian. Yugoslavia was broke up in the 90s, into Croatia, Serbia, and I'm bad on my geography right now, but it was basically right across the boot from Italy. And there was only a couple other Yugoslavs in drag racing, and I just wanted to put our name on the map. It's like Smith in America.
Well, I'm glad it's that common over there. Definitely not as common here. But man, you are making yourself more common. Look, 3 out of 3 races, your small, out of a garage, independent, underfunded team has qualified for the big show. Man, what do you got to say about that?
That was amazing. It was the coolest thing ever, and the only thing I can attribute it to is the hard work from the crew and all my guys. Kevin Pointer, our crew chief. We got Big Dummy, our car chief. It was a lot of hard work that went into this, and we grew up building race engines, and my dad was an auto shop teacher. And the guys always said, don't go cheap on the important part of the motor. Spend the money, do it right, maintain the stuff. And so all my guys are all mechanics. And we built the cars in-house, and I'm sitting in my 900 square foot garage. I don't know if I can spin the camera around and actually show you how small it is. But we do all the work ourselves, and that brings the cost down. And in addition to that, all the teams, I'm good friends with Gary Densham, Jim Dunn. All the teams out there have been really cool to us, and I've been buying all their used secondhand parts and stuff that the crew chiefs would change throughout the years. And it's brought the cost down significantly. So any kids out there in junior dragsters, take a chapter out of that book. That really helped us out. And it's just truly an honor to be here. I love drag racing, and I follow all the different series, including the ADRLA and all the SIFCA, I used to race in the Heritage Series, and I just love it. And it's an honor to be here because, again, when I saw John Force's Oldsmobile with flames, my life was ruined at that point.
Life was ruined at that point, seeing the flames on John Force's car. He only ran that like 1 year, I think, with the flames on it. It was a great-looking car. Oftentimes, he didn't need flames on the car. He had flames underneath the car. John oftentimes did. I've got a similar story in that my home national event is the Southern Nationals, and I can remember going to the Southern Nationals and just hoping that it would be Dean Scusa and John Force and actual Friday night qualifying, pair up and do a long smoky burnout before, setting down a qualifying pass. So I know how you feel, Alex. Mike Ashley chimes in for you, Alex. He says, Alex, you're doing a great job promoting your team. Looking forward to seeing you out on a regular basis. With Mike mentioning that, where you're at right now, Alex, what would it take to be out there on a regular basis and not just the West Coast type of deal?
I'm chasing money. All my crew and the guys, we're in a position to where we can go on the road. I'm just trying to market and sell myself so we can bring in some major funding. All my current sponsors are on board, and they're all my friends that have been, started businesses and that were successful. We came home from Indy knowing that there was a race there in 3 weeks. We got to service the car. We're not quite set up to service on the road yet. And when we get home, we're going to turn this car around and hopefully get ready for the U.S. Nationals. And what I need to do is I got to be a better salesman. I got to buy the parts for our clutch inventory. I got to have everything in the trailer, because what I've been doing is I've been buying clutch discs from the teams that they one run, they cut them down, and then they sell them to us because they changed the recipe. But I'm going to need about 20 runs worth of discs in the trailer. So I just got to be a better salesman. And we're getting there. And thank God guys like you and me are helping. Hold on, Marcy needs the keys. She's got to go get the kid.
Sorry, thank you.
All you guys have been so good to help me out. And a lot of the sponsors that are on board were like, oh my God, we moved the meter on our website. And I'm just doing my job, and anything I can do to help them and a battery connection. He said, "Hey, we sold 3 batteries because of you." I'm like, "That's what you're helping me out for." So that's been the fun part of it from the business side. But I just got to chase money and do it and play and run this thing like a professional operation. And honestly, sometimes I feel like an old dirty T-shirt, working because all the guys were over here a couple nights a week and on the weekends. And just Big Dummy goes, "What did you do to me, man? I used to be such a happy guy, and we ran nostalgia cars together." And he goes, "This is, I don't know if I can say horseshit. It's been a wild ride."
Well, Alex, look, we are glad you're on the ride, and even though it's been wild that your team has had success in NHRA drag racing, hey, folks, if you're out there watching, I think this is definitely a fun but yet serious drag racing group to get behind, so check out Alex Milandinovich and the Hot for Teacher racing team. Alex, look, I'm going to drop you out, and we're going to segue into another portion of this particular show, and we're going to go into drag racing story time. So, Mel, Alex, look, get your best drag racing story locked and loaded, and while you're doing that, I'm going to share with the folks some drag racing news. Now, folks, I want you to understand you can get more drag racing news than just right here on Between the Slicks by going to the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel. There is actually a full Summer Nationals in review video that's about 30 minutes long, including footage from race day, even the line, and I break down some of the stories from the Summer Nationals there in Brownsburg, Indiana, just outside of Indianapolis. And with that in mind, I want to bring this news, I want to bring this story to you. So I can be a bit tough on the NHRA at times. I love NHRA drag racing, but there's just things that they do that baffle me. And I saw something this past weekend in Indianapolis, that I have to applaud them for what they actually did. So many of you know that the rain came in, and it looked like they were not going to get any more racing in, and in fact, they're not going to get any racing in for the finals of the Summer Nationals until the U.S. Nationals. And I have heard all the keyboard warriors, and I've heard the people making comments like they should have ran them Monday, or they should have ran them in 3 weeks at what is now Indy 3. Folks, look, I was able to be behind the scenes, being in the Davis Motorsports pit, and was able to see that the NHRA, they called the teams. Not only did they call the teams, but they reached out with a representative in the pit to the teams, and they asked them, "What do you want to do?" It was not a simple, straight down from the top statement of, "This is what we're going to do." They asked the teams what was in their best interest. And the reason for postponing it to the U.S. Nationals is, well, one, TJ Zizzo, his team, they're not going to be at Indy 3. And the Davis Motorsports gang, the Zizzo gang, and many others, like even in Pro Mod. You're talking about people who are part-time crew members. You're talking about part-time teams. These people have jobs to get back to on Monday and Tuesday. And folks, that's the nature of drag racing. There is a lot of part-time crew members and teams making up the world of drag racing. So the NHRA took that in mind, and I applaud them. I think they made the right decision. Plus, the teams that get to finish the finals on the U.S. Nationals date, that's some great exposure for them to have their finals on the biggest weekend of drag racing in the world. I think, in fact, that's pretty cool. So, at this moment, I'm going to bring in Mel Roth. Mel, look, man, give me your best drag racing story for all the viewers here on Between the Slicks.
Well, since I came on last minute, I'm going to have to tell myself that I didn't prepare for a story. But I got a drag racing moment for you. This took place August 2014. Our first race back at Gateway Motorsports Park when it was Gateway. We started our Streetcar Super National Series. First one, obviously we started in Vegas 16 years ago. But we had our first one in St. Louis, and we had quarter-mile pro mods, and we had the world's quickest and fastest side-by-side pro mod race. How much did I get? this is a photo from it. If you guys can see, because I use one of my earbuds. But anyway, Turkey Al-Savari beat Frankie Taylor. And as you can see, the times like 5:46 or 5:47, 2:72 to 2:63. There wasn't that many people there to watch it in person, but if you were to, ask, if you were to put it up online, say how many people were there to watch it, there'd be like 5,000 people, and there was less than probably 500 people there. So at the time, that was run at like 11 o'clock at night. So to me, it might not be a great drag racing story, but man, it was something to witness, because when those cars crossed the finish line, I mean, when those times lit the scoreboard, absolutely was as quiet as could be. And then, bam, it was just pandemonium, because to look at the EPs that those cars ran and how close they were, just an unbelievable feat. So Frankie Taylor, Turkey Al-Savari, I'll never forget that.
Hey, nothing wrong at all with a drag racing moment like that. I know for me, I was able. So this was pretty cool. The first time I'm ever on the line for NHRA drag racing, I'm at Reading. I'm helping the New Englander funny car team out, and I'm waiting to go up with them, and they're going to be the first pair up in funny car in qualifying for Q2. And the last pair is, if I remember correctly, Leah Pruitt and Brittany Force. And Brittany Force laid down the new record there or began to set the new record there at Reading. And the night before, I was in the stands and watched Ron Capps, rip off a 339-mile-an-hour pass. So it's definitely cool to be there for those drag racing moments. So, Mel, look, thank you for sharing that. Alex, man, you got that best drag racing story locked and loaded for me. We're going to bring you on right now.
Well, I'm going to be a little edgy here, and I don't know if I should say this, but, you talk about every time you run the car to the track or you do a road trip, something cool happens. Now, when I was in college, I worked at a dealer in Orange that sold Earl's fittings, and Dale Armstrong walked in. I'm like, oh, my God, there's Dale Armstrong. And I go, hey, Dale, you got any cool drag racing stories? And he just laughed at me, and he goes, I got a few. And I get starstruck. I had this wild idea that we were going to buy pairs of vibrating panties and take them to one of the hot rod reunions. And we were going to take them and hand them out to all of our friends' wives. And we're going to take all the remotes and stick them in a bucket and stir them up and hand the remotes out. Little did I know, at these vibrating panties, all the remotes were on the same frequency. So we handed out the remotes, and you hit one remote, and 8 women would just fall to the floor. They'd be like, turn that damn thing off. And this was the Hot Rod reunion when Great White played in John Hale's pits. And I can't say names about who had who and who had the remotes, but every time someone famous would walk by, they'd hand them the remote and say, hey, watch this and hit this. And then when they find out what they were doing, there'd be 4 girls sitting there in the corner of the trailer just going, turn it off, turn it off. And that's all I got. I mean, all the stupid stuff that happens on the road. It was a burst of macho gone horribly wrong. And it turned into a good story we got some mileage out of. And finally I got to a point where they're like, oh God, here comes, I'm not going to say names, but here comes so-and-so, please give him the remote. He's an awesome driver. And, wore the batteries out of those things. So vibrating panties, they're all in the same frequency. And what are the odds of 8 pairs being in the same vicinity in Bakersfield, California in 2014? And yep, they were, and it was good. We had a good time.
Well, I definitely think you've taken the top spot on the most interesting drag racing story I've had thus far. Except maybe Doug Foley had one where he's like, they found this mannequin in my trailer and they thought it was a dead person when he was trying to get over the Canadian border. That was interesting. I thought that was great. Wow, vibrating panties. Hey, speaking of stories, Alex, So I'm going to put you back on by yourself. Inform everybody who, in fact, if they didn't see it, won the Cornhole Nationals in the Davis Motorsports shop there in Pittsboro, Indiana.
We did. It was dragsters versus the funny cars, and the funny cars came out on top. It was the Davis team against the Hot for Teacher guys, and I didn't realize we had a couple ringers. Vince lives in Lake Havasu, and that's all they do is play cornhole all the time. My father-in-law, Marcy's dad, Captain Kit, he was did a really good job at the cornhole, and Ray Zeller on the dragster guys was amazing too, but it was tough. And we also, the Davis guys provided, because we were one light. We got one bottom end guy from Tim Wilkerson's, and he turned out to be a ringer. So the funny car guys won by a few points. And would we win about $40 in the tournament?
I think that was the case. Yeah, there was a little bit of a buy-in and a little bit of cash rolling around, and I think there were some games afterward that had some more cash just off one games. But man, look, you mentioned that picking up a crew member. Dive into that a little bit. That just networking and connecting with another team in another class, you were able to get a crew member that was desperately needed. Talk to me about that.
Well, because we're on the road, a bunch of our crew had to fly back home and go have regular jobs. So the Davis guys said, "Hey, we got a guy from Tim Wilkerson. He came in, and he does the bottom end, and he's been around Top Fuel for a bunch of years. And he came in, and he was amazing, and he nailed it. I'm going to propose that we do this once a year, and maybe do a little charity event. They do all the golf tournaments and this, that, and the other. I'm going to propose that we do this and try to raise some money for draw."
Man, I think that would be a great deal to have a charity event like that and the drag racing teams participate in it. That would be very cool. Someone out there in NHRA and a bigger team, let's get that going. Let's help draw out. And also, not to mention, I think it can make for great fan hospitality once we get all this COVID out of the way. Get your pit and a half and have some cornhole area over there, and the team can interact and things of that nature. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I played cornhole myself. I was able to film it, and welcome to the Cornhole Nationals here at Davis Motorsports. So that was definitely a lot of fun. Glad y'all got to participate in it and have that. The kings of the sport went down by those funny-bodied cars that go down the quarter mile or the 1,000 feet now. So, Alex, look, we're going to come back to you. Mel, let me get you on the firing line of questions here. With the ADRL firing back up this year, and then we've gone through everything that we have far as COVID-19, and are we even going to have events? How do you think ADRL has weathered the storm? Where do sponsors stand? What's the thoughts? What are the future events, and do things look bright after 2 events for the ADRL?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, our attendance in Texas, we had 6 days. Our first event that you went to, Dragpalooza, 6 days to put that together. We had a decent amount of fans. Still, the governor the Friday before just lifted the stay-at-home policy and all that. So we were able to have fans in Texas. And then, like I said, we were held to 33% in St. Louis, and we maximized that on Saturday. Car-wise, we got the cars. We got the Pro Extreme guys they're as tickled to death as you can using a NASCAR car, as they could be. So in Pro Extreme, free entry, $2,000 to qualify for the 16-car field. That's a big difference when it comes to where, if you're a pro mod guy and you have a car and you want to go race, well, not being able to have to pay an entry fee or your crew or anything to get in, that's major for especially some of these smaller teams. And then we also have some other classes. We got big tire, no time, small tire, no time, both again with no entry fees. And now our next race, October 2nd and 3rd, Texas Motorplex, the U.S. Drags. We're looking to, if we don't have restrictions, We're looking to shut the place down. And then back to Gateway, same thing. Our biggest races in the history of ADRL, 2 of them were at Gateway, where we had to close, actually close the highway down. There were so many people, couldn't let any more in. And we're looking to do that again in the fall. So October 2nd and 3rd in Texas Motorplex, October 23, 24, Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway.
Well, those are some stellar facilities to have the 4 race series that the ADRL has got currently right now. And I believe it's, 6 races already planned for 2021. Is that correct, Mel?
That is correct. We got 6, which 4 of them will be at those 2 tracks we announced. We're going to wait a little later on the year to announce the other 2 tracks. But once again, another, marquee tracks. I mean, everything we're going to is going to be, top notch, enough, stands to hold the ADRL fans. And if you went to Speed Video and watched our event, and you watched our winner's circle, see the pictures we're posting from our winner's circle. When you win an ADRL event, it is like no other in the winner's circle. I mean, you got hundreds and hundreds of fans, Kenny Nollies giving out $100 bills to little kids and all that. It's pretty cool. So you actually, when you win it, you feel like you've done something, and I've been around the sport a long time. I started PSCA in Southern California 21 years ago. And then by the time usually you get to the winner's circle, there's nobody left, 90% of the racers are gone. 95% of the fans are gone. But that's one thing Kenny can do on that mic. He keeps the fans interested. He gives out stuff. And it's, like I said, it's a pretty cool feeling being in that winner's circle. When you win, man, you win.
I would agree. The atmosphere there in Texas, though it wasn't a full crowd because of restrictions and things of that nature. I mean, Frankie Madman Taylor, who, wow, talk about, I'm not a guy who believes in luck. I believe you're prepared, and being prepared, you make your way. But my goodness, if there was ever anything close to luck, that man experienced it there in Texas to win that race with wreck in front of him and another guy red lighting and breakage, and he wins Dragpalooza. But yes, there in the winner's circle, the energy with all the fans, and I didn't get my $100 bill, Kenny. Remember that next time? No, though it was great. I was waiting to try to get an interview, and it took a little while, but it was great. And also, maybe you can talk about this and clue us in. The trophy, it's not a little trophy, the Minuteman. I love the Minuteman. Why is the ADRL handing out this Minuteman to the winners? I like that. It is a great-looking trophy.
It's a trophy that Kenny came up with years ago, and it's coveted. No one else has anything like it. Like I said, it's a huge trophy to win. And then, like I said, to win an ADRL national event, we want to make sure that the racers know that, hey, look, you're doing something that, not very many have had, had a chance to do. And what better than have a unique trophy that nobody else will have on their mantle, other than, past winners. So it's a pretty cool deal. And that's another thing we're doing. We keep points in our classes, junior dragsters and pro extreme. Texas will be the 3rd of 4th races. And then when we go to St. Louis in the fall, we do Battle for the Belts, and then we'll crown our champions Friday night at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Cool things happening for the ADRL. Before I go back to Alex, Mel, if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind doing some speculation with you. What tracks out there on the table are y'all looking at? Are you considering? Is there going to be a true East Coast date next year with somewhere like Galat, a true West Coast date, somewhere maybe like Bakersfield or something? What's the thoughts of the ADRL? Or is it going to stay in the central part of the country?
We're not at liberty to tell right now because of other schedules and all that going on. But right now, the Florida area is somewhere in there, and then Ohio is what we're looking at. We got the tracks lined up. We're just trying to make sure the date, because next year, just like right now with no prep cadence, canceling a lot of races and rescheduling for next year. Everyone's got to get their date ready before they accept something new to the stuff. So we're just kind of biding our time, but those are kind of the areas. So look for an Ohio and for a Florida area. Not 100%, but they look pretty good right now.
Awesome. Sounds good, man. Sounds good. All right, well, look, we're going to go back to Alex in just a few moments here. Darce Laws, look, thank you for chiming in. Looking good, Mel Roth. Yeah, Mel looks fine over there, wherever Mel's at. I believe he said Wyoming. I think that was correct. He's over there in Wyoming. He's shaking his head, yes, he's over there in Wyoming, which I need to get to. Want to see Devil's Tower before I check out. So, folks, thank you for watching. Look like Joshua Clinton here. Thank you, man. Thank you for the show. Look, I love doing this. I love getting drag racing peeps on from NHRA to Adrl, any other series. Love it. And I also look forward to doing this live at the track once again. Now, Alex. So, this weekend, I kept hearing this term from nostalgia guys, whether it's the Davis Motorsports gang or whether it was your gang, of big show car, big show car, big show car. And I had never really actually heard it that way, but it makes sense being up. I've got to ask, because in the nostalgia ranks, the cars are not slow. I mean, they're fast drag cars. They're nothing to, sneeze at and overlook. They are fast cars, but can you put it into perspective of what it was like to go from the nostalgia car to the big show car?
Well, the nostalgia cars having the 2-speed, that's fun to shift, and there's a little bit more action, but they don't have the downforce that I never liked the term big show, so I'm going to call them AA funny car. People came up with that when I don't know where it came from, but I never liked that term. So they got the nostalgia cars and the AA funny cars is what I call them. But the nostalgia cars don't have the downforce, so you're working to get that car down the track. So when they're moving and shaking, the people who created the rules make sure that they did not have the downforce, because we're Americans. We will outrace everybody, and they didn't want the nostalgia cars going faster than the AA cars, the dual mag cars. They made sure they had a points magneto, and they made sure they had a 20-gallon pump. When you do the AA car, you stab the throttle. The incrementals are about the same, and we've been in 920, 60-foot time, 230, 330 ET. That's not anything near like a Hagen, a Schumacher, a Force car. We've danced into those numbers. But what I can say is when the clutch goes 1-to-1 on a AA car, it's almost like the race restarted. So when you go from 190 to 280 miles an hour like we did on our qualifier run on the first Indy race, the E3 Nationals, it appeared as if the race restarted. I'm like, oh my gosh, this baby's not done yet. Then with the downforce, if you put a cylinder out and you're up against the wall, you have to grab the steering wheel 3 times to get the car to get back in the groove. Now, when you're under power, these cars, you can't control them. You can only contain them. The downforce there takes a little bit for them to correct. Now, the nostalgia cars with the 20-gallon pump and the 671 superchargers, you've got to work. Those things are all over the place. And Caps, Worsham, Aren, Chad Head drove one, and they put it into perspective. They go, they're a little bit more work. And my brother and I always thought that the nostalgia series would have been like the minor leagues or the AAA, that would have been more appropriate for leading into Top Fuel Funny Car or Top Fuel Dragster, because they're so aggressive and you do have to work. But again, the alcohol funny cars and the alcohol dragsters are where it's at. But the nostalgia cars are a lot of work. So anybody out there who makes the crossover, be prepared for a wild ride. And I always say these cars are like having 2-year-olds. You can't control them. You can only contain them.
Well, man, you definitely have been containing your bad fast ride there in NHRA, qualified for 3 out of 3 races that you have entered in. I want to bring up a fan of mine, a huge fan of drag racing, though, Joe Hollis. He says, great job, Lee. Yeah, Joe, thank you. I appreciate it. He says, good luck to Alex from Texas. His videos are great. And I think he's referring to your videos, because you do on YouTube some behind-the-scenes videos, and you show the shop. And talk to me about doing YouTube videos and having that extra platform for the team. And can we expect any more anytime soon?
Oh, yeah, we're working on a new video. I'm a huge racing fan. All my buddies were all gear jammers, and I always loved when Steve Evans, when I was a kid growing up, would do the behind the scenes. It always showed what guys were doing. Now, I love the cars on the track, but really 99% of drag racing is done right here, these toolboxes. You got to do all this work just to go out and run a 4-second run. Now, I figured, okay, what do I like? And my brother and I and the team, we always talk, and we say, hey, what do you think people would like to see? Now, I don't have a huge marketing team and the big sponsors, but I need my sponsors like Battery Connection, PI Motorsports, and I need to make them appear larger than life. So what could I do? Well, this whole social media craze with YouTube, we didn't have that back in the 80s and 90s. So I thought, okay, I have everyone's attention for Pomona. I'm going to try and do anything and everything that I can to get everyone's attention and keep it and show what goes into it. And again, I'm a huge geek, and I love seeing how people do the background and the back scenes behind building a car. So my brother did the carbon fiber series on doing our spare body, and that was the one that got crashed in Sonoma a couple years back when the Nitro guys owned it. We did the clutch series, and we did the servicing the blowers. And I thought that would let everybody know you don't need to be rich to do this. You just got to have a good work ethic. You just gotta want it. You don't spend money and buy new stuff. You buy something used and you fix it up, and then you go fast. And if you're not going to go as fast as the fast guys, but you'll still be racing, and it can be done. And I thought that was an important lesson to all the kids out there, that it can be done. So buy something junky, fix it up. And my dad restoring old cars, that's what he used to do when I was a kid. And I thought that was an important lesson for all the kids that want to go car racing, or even if you don't like car racing, if you like guitars, there's a million ways you can restore guitars on YouTube. And I just thought, from what I like, I thought I could share that with everyone out there on the internet.
Very cool, man. Very cool. And I'm glad you are sharing those. I love with Monday Morning Racer to give those behind-the-scenes look. People love the behind-the-scenes look. I'm going to bring in Mel here as we begin to wind things down here on Between the Slicks. To each and every one of you out there, Mike, Ashley, Scott, Darce, Joshua, Scott, Joe, thank you for chiming in. Thank you for watching. Hey, we got just a few more moments here. If you got any question for Mel, any question for Alex, go ahead, chime in, get that question in. I will love to put it out there. I'm going to bring up a question here, or a comment, rather, from Kenny Nolan. Now, I was supposed to have Kenny on tonight, but he explains, so sorry that I couldn't make it on. Talking to Alex, finalizing an Adrl sponsorship contract and just couldn't pull away. Keep up the great work. So you got some fans there, Alex, from the Adrl, and I know you're a fan of the Adrl as well. So am I. Alex, look, last word. You got anything?
Hey, all the guys out there, keep up the fight, work hard. And I know money's tight right now with all the sponsors, and all the guys in Adrl and Sifka and the Nostalgia Series. Just, hey, the fan base is there. Work hard, pay attention at all times, and do your due diligence. And you guys have put on a great show. I follow it. I don't watch TV, and I don't watch the sitcoms, and I love the old comedy. just stay with it, because the fan base is there, and again, you guys are doing a great job, and I love everything about the sport. And again, just try to inspire somebody. If you can inspire one person a week, a day, a year, a month, you can pass that on to the youth of America. I thought that would be cool, because again, my dad was an auto shop teacher, and all these years go by, and they said, "Hey man, I was a flunky, I was going to drop out, but I could do good in auto shop. And your dad told me to stay in school." And now that guy has a company with 200 employees, and has got a house in Newport Beach, and takes his family surfing and in Hawaii once a year. So just inspire somebody, and you guys are doing it. You do a great job. So thank you.
Well, thank you for that, Alex. Definitely they're doing it at the ADRL as well. Mel, look, last word for the ADRL. And let me put this question to you from Scott, or he's actually saying he wants 10.5 back in the ADRL. I thought 10.5 was back, or there was a class similar. What's going on?
We have the almost the exact same class. It's called Big Tire No Time, which all the Extreme 10.5 cars fit. So if you fit an Extreme 10.5, you could run in Big Tire No Time. So I'm not as inspiring as Alex, since he took care of everybody. But we want to make sure that we take care of our marketing partners at ADRL, and Driven Automotive Protection, our title sponsor, Car Guard Administration, Cali's Performance, Energy Block, and Champion Auto Lift. I mean, those are some really good sponsors that we were lucky to have on board. Bullet Race Engines, the Larry Jeffers Race Cars, and Twin Lakes Whitetail LLC. Like I said, we're excited to have them on board. And then, like I said, if you guys come out to an ADRL race, October 2nd to 3rd in Texas, US Drag, the tickets are free. You can print them online, adrldrags.com. And then our drag stock, which is, our marquee event, the end of the year, we give out the battle for the belts. And then the Saturday, we run a new race for starting points for the following year, which is something that only the ADRL does that I know of. That's October 23, 24 at Worldwide Technology Raceway. So once again, all of our tickets for our fans are free, $20 a park, and you will have an unbelievable time. We'd appreciate the time you give us on the show to express our views and thank our sponsors. And like I said, hopefully we see you again, whether it's in Texas or somewhere else down the road.
Yes, sir, Mel. Definitely ADRL is going to be on my list again. Love the time that I had out there. Yeah, folks, look, load that car up, and get those free tickets and come enjoy ADRL drag racing. Well, it looks like we lost Alex. So, Joe, your question of is he running a 6-disc clutch? We'll figure that out, find that out on another time with Alex. Mel, look, thank you for your time. I'm going to remove you from the show. You can hang out if you want. I'm going to shut this thing down. Thank you, sir.
All right, appreciate for having me.
So for Alex Milandinovich and for Mel Roth, president of the ADRL, I'm the Monday Morning Racer. This has been Between the Slicks. We will be live again next week. I think I'm going to try to get Joe Morrison on the show, one of the newest licensed Top Fuel dragster drivers out there, and no telling who else we might have on Between the Slicks. All of this brought to you by strutmasters.com. You need a fix for your ride, check out strutmasters.com. Also, do remember Gearhead Coffee promo code MMR10 for 10% off at purchase for coffee that is Gearhead themed, and, well, it will get your motor running. Scott here, we'll close out with you and your comment. Thank you. Great show, bud. I appreciate that. To each and every one of you, until next time, enjoy some drag racing. God bless, and keep the pedal to the metal.